It's the Nintendo DS. Yes, we're actually talking about this. What's interesting that when I got it, I got this cool case. Reminds me of something from Japan. It wasn't until the Wii U and 3DS era that I can finally get my hands on a Nintendo DS, mostly the DS Lite. So basically, I had the GBA, but I went to the 3DS, and I actually skipped a generation and I really missed it out. Anyway, one cool feature on the Nintendo DS is that you can actually play Game Boy Advance games. That's actually one of the coolest things that I like about the handhelds from Nintendo. They added backwards compatibility, starting from GBA to 3DS. One thing to point out is that the DS cartridges are really smaller than Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. I guess they were trying to make it more smaller, but just because the cartridge looks small doesn't mean that it's a small game. Sometimes the games are actually pretty big. Did I mention that it also has a stylus? I do gotta say, holding a Nintendo DS is very comfortable and really doesn't really hurt your hands. One good thing about the Nintendo DS is that you can have the option how you want to play Game Boy Advance games, whether it's the top screen or the bottom. I mostly use the top to, because it makes me feel like I'm playing a regular Game Boy. But how could I show GBA games without you showing you some great DS games I've gotten? Yeah, I still collect these games and I still love them because there are games that are so interesting that you just don't know how good it is. Sometimes it could be a hidden gem. Another cool feature is that you can use the touchscreen. There are a lot of DS games where they do recommend you to mostly use the touchscreen, and I don't have any problems with that. Speaking of 3DS, the 3DS, and as I mentioned, lets you play DS games. But did you know that it also has a good battery life? Yeah, that's why the DS is by far one of the best handhelds I've ever played. Not only it lets you play games, but you can actually have a long battery. I will say, it's pretty cool, and I do recommend you if you ever want to try one of the best handhelds. It could either be a regular DS, DS Lite, DSi, or DSi XL, and it's a really good feature. And I gotta say, even though they gave it to the 3DS and had the backwards compatibility, it's still great.